G'day YouTube, Ride here, your coffee coach, and welcome to 2023. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you had a wonderful break, got some time away to spend with the family, if that's what you wanted, and of course, some time to look at what machine you're gonna buy this year. Now, I left this particular video of 6K plus machines for the new year because I really wanted to sink my teeth into it. This is where I think the machines get super exciting. And although they might not be in everyone's budget, I think we can really all appreciate just how beautiful these machines are becoming now with the technology, the design elements, and the ease of use for everyone at home to bring in commercial rated machines so that you can get the best quality coffee at your house with a statement piece as well. So I'm gonna look at the ones that I think are the nicest looking, my personal favorites. They might not be your personal favorites. So if I missed a machine that's your favorite, please drop it in the comments below and let me know about it. These, again, are the ones that I'm focusing on because they're my personal favorites, but sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I don't always agree with what you guys want to see, and I really love to hear your feedback. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let's get into it. So first up is the Linear Micra. Now, I copped a lot of flack from you guys for not including it in my last video, but that was because I wanted to keep it for this particular video because I love the design of it, and obviously everyone knows about Marzocco's quality. So I thought I'd start it off at the $6,000 mark. Here in Australia, it fits right on that line. However, I could have included it in the 3 to 6K video because it was $1 under 6K. But we haven't yet got them here in Australia, so only a few people have them. So I am now starting it with Linear Micra. So let's talk about Linear Micra and basically what it's replacing, because Marzocco Linear Mini has been the standard home machine for many, many years, since 2015. Now they've come out with what is essentially the exact same machine, slightly improved and smaller in foot size, and obviously cheaper. Which makes it beg the question of, why did Marzocco do this? I have a feeling that they chose this path because the Linear Mini, as great as it is, was a little bit outside that price range for most people. You know, when you're talking about $7,000 or $8,000 on a coffee machine, you've got a lot of choices out there in the marketplace. Some look brilliant, beautiful. There's so many different machines out there. The Linear Mini is not, I think, at the top of everyone's list. So bringing it in to 6K makes it more appealing to those home users that want something a bit more than your average home machine, but not so expensive that it prices them out of the market altogether. So that's what I think they're doing. The Linear Micra looks and feels very much the same way as the Linear Mini. I haven't had my chance to get my hands on one yet, so I'm only going off what I read and what I see out here, but from all parts, it looks like basically the same machine, but they've made a few improvements. So under the hood, pretty much the same as the Mini. It's a dual boiler with integrated group heads. It's got PID controllers. It does have a fixed pre-infusion. However, I believe it's only for the plumbed in version. So you can plumb it in or you can use tank water. But the app that it connects to, I think, only shows you the option of the pre-infusion when it's plumbed in. And the pre-infusion is fixed anyway, so it doesn't give you an ability to control the flow of that water other than just pressing a button with a fixed pre-infusion. So one of the little downsides, I think, with this machine. However, I think the newest advancement in this machine is actually the modular portafilter. So with a simple click, you can change it from a spouted portafilter to a naked one. And it's a piece of polymer, which means that it won't drag heat out of it like a normal stainless steel spouted portafilter will do. So the less heat that's getting transferred into the steel means the more heat that can focus on your coffee and the extraction. By being able to turn it into a spouted or into a naked with simply clicking out the bottom plastic is really fantastic, because sometimes you do want to split the shot and sometimes you just want to see the shot in all of its glory. I probably would prefer that particular feature in a commercial machine, because often you want to use a naked portafilter, but then you have a customer that comes in and they only want a single shot espresso. So I would love the ability to be able to quickly change over my portafilters for a naked or a spouted. But I think in the home use it's probably not as important. However, it's great to have that feature in there. And I think it's quite interesting that La Marzocco chose that to be one of their flagship points of difference, because I think there's some other functions that I would have focused on. However, I know that they're trying to keep the price down. Anyway, that's for all you guys that said bad things about my other video when I didn't mention the Linear Micra. The Linear Micra is a fantastic machine. If you can afford it up to $6,000, then go buy that one. And if you have more than $6,000 and you still want to buy it, great for you too. Now, I don't really need to talk about the Linear Mini, because essentially it's the same machine and it's now been quite made redundant with the Micra. But if you're interested and you want a bigger machine, you want to make coffees for your office or something like that, the Linear Mini is a great option as well. However, it doesn't have any pre-infusion either. If you want to get into the pre-infusion and flow profiling, pressure profiling, then you need to look at La Marzocco's GS3, which I personally think is a beautiful looking machine. Now they do jump up in price. They're looking at around 11 to 13K depending on the model in Australian dollars, but you get just a beautifully designed machine. Now there's two different types of models. There's the AV and the MP. AV stands for automatic volumetric, and the MP stands for manual paddle. And that gives you more control. The AV essentially is a fully automatic machine with some pre-programmed buttons that you can set to volumetric, decide on the amount of water that's coming through and extracting your coffee, and then program that and then press it and then it just runs itself. The MP allows you to play around with the profiling, so you can really adjust that flow rate and get the best extraction of the flavors that you're looking for. If you're looking deeply into an espresso, single origin espresso or something like that, you can really play around with it, and that would be the one that I choose. It even comes with a little manometer on top, which pressure gauge that shows you the actual pressure in the group head as well. Other than that, it's a dual boiler with two boilers, a massive 3.5 litre steam boiler and a 2 litre brew boiler, a fully saturated group head, which is different to the Mini and the Micra, which are integrated group heads. And La Marzocco have gone out and made a big point about clarifying the difference between the two. Essentially, the integrated group head works more like a heat exchange, but it allows the coil wrap around the group head, and that just keeps it a lot more thermal stability. But the saturated group head drags the water straight from the brew boiler into the group head. So that's the same temperature and allows for a lot more thermal stability, but it does require a little bit more maintenance down the track, and maybe a little bit more expensive to replace. A couple of the other features that are pretty common amongst all of these machines, this is the PID control, the ability to have it connect to an app, and it can be plumbed or tanked. It also has no burn steam ones. However, I think the steam one is probably the bit that I least like about the GS3. The steam itself is brilliant and you can get some really nice steam, silky milk. However, the toggle that you use to activate the switch, I just find it a bit clunky, and it's down here. I really like the lever actuators, or even just the knob that the Linear Mini and Micra have. So if we're having to nitpick, that would be the one thing that I would dislike about the GS3. However, in saying that, it's La Marzocco quality. Now, I don't need to talk about La Marzocco's durability. They've been around 90 years already, and they make fantastic quality machines. So if you haven't heard of La Marzocco before, you need to do some research, but these are great machines, and it really just comes down to whether you like the look and feel or the features that are on there, and whether you have the money that you want to spend on a fantastic machine that's going to create amazing, consistent, fantastic tasting coffee every morning, but only needs to produce 1 or 2 coffees. If you're working in an office or you have a little roastery, then these machines add much more value, because you can fully dial in the sort of coffee that you're roasting and showcase it with everyone, and then keep dialing it in and refining it before you go out to market with that product. So there might be a case that you can spend the 13K on the GS3 there. Or if you're making maybe 100 coffees a day, you don't need to necessarily buy a full 2-group commercial machine. However, I would recommend that. but these machines are designed to pump out all the coffees and never let you down. Now, I already put this next machine in my last video under 6K, but I really believe the decent espresso machine belongs in both fields, because technically the base model does fall under 6K, but with the advanced models it pushes it over. I would say that it still should fit across both camps anyway, because it's just a great machine. I love it so much. It's one that I have at home and I use it all the time to experiment, to push the boundaries of espresso and really analyze what's going in to your shot under the hood. And I think no other machine yet does this as well as the Decent. And yes, Decent doesn't have a history yet. They've only been around 7 years, so they don't have that same legacy that La Marzocco have. However, the people that are behind it, Scott Rayo and John Buckman, these guys have studied the art of espresso machines over years, and Scott Rayo is known as one of the best roasters around the world, so they really understand coffee. And they've designed a machine that doesn't include a single boiler. It just pumps in from the reservoir underneath exact minute precise amounts of cold and hot water to really create whatever you want at the group head, whether it be flow control, temperature control, profiling. You can have pressure profiling. You can do extractions that go on for 4, 5, 20 minutes even. You can have extractions that go over in 10 seconds, and you can capture all of that right there in the massive tablet display that's connected to the machine, and then download that, send that off to a friend in the other side of the world to analyze it or recreate on their Decent machine as well. I think terms of, if you want to get out there and experiment with coffee and you really want to understand and learn the science behind it, and I love learning about the science because I don't come from a science background, but I love being able to taste the coffee and then see what might have changed since my last coffee that made that flavor different. And because coffee is such a volatile product, it can change within an hour, within a minute. So you want to capture all that data to bring it back later to analyze it as you need. There's a couple of other features that I really love about the Decent machine. One of them is the angled reflection that allows you to watch your shot pouring from standing up. If you've got a naked portafilter and you want to watch all of those beautiful oils being pressed through and dropping into your cup, normally you have to jump down underneath, squint, push your head up like that. Then you can't see what else is going on the screen. With the angled display, it allows you to watch your shot at the same time as looking at the graph. So you can really follow along, know what's going on with the machine, and see the shot as well. I really like that design. There's a couple of other machines that do that, but it's one that I think should be included on basically every machine. So the Decent espresso machine literally starts at 6,000, and when you compare it to some of the other machines of 13,000, if the look and the feel is not necessarily what you're going for, then I can see that the other machines like the Slayers and your La Marzoccos, they might be more appealing in terms of the look and feel. However, I really think if you're going to go deep into espresso and protect yourself for the future, because every part is modular, it's $6,000, or 7 or 8 depending on what model you get, is a really good investment into something that's so futuristic and future-proofed. I just can't say a thing really wrong about the Decent espresso machine other than the name Decent, because it should be called extraordinary. Next up, we've got Cenesso, and I've got 2 machines to talk about in Cenesso. I have a Cenesso MVP Hydra. I've got a 3 group in the cafe, and that machine changed my life. I was always a La Marzocco person before that, and then I looked at the Cenesso MVP Hydra and I fell in love with it. It has the capabilities to do your pressure profiling, has 4-stage pressure profiling, so your pre-infusion, your ramp up, your full bar, and then your ramp down, and you can set these all at different points manually throughout the entire machine. So what I really love about it is that it just allows you to jump into each espresso and completely profile it to get the best results every single time. Now, as a 3-group machine with the powder coating and the timber handles and actuators, it looks gorgeous, and it's completely reliable because even if one group head dies, gets blocked, breaks down, the other 2 head continue on as separate machines. It's almost like they've put 3 individual machines together in a casing so that you can operate it independently of each other, which I just love. However, as a single group, you obviously don't have that function or need, and I think it looks a little bit tall. I still love it, and I still love all the brains, the PID, the temperature control, the profiling, all of that remains in the machine. However, it stands a little bit tall because the legs are quite tall, and so only being 30 centimeters wide goes up fairly tall, and I think around that 11K mark, you might not really find it as beautiful as some of the other machines in that price range. So that's my only downside to the Cenesso MVP Hydra single group, is that aesthetically, it's much better as a 3-group. However, they're bringing out a new machine. And this year, I believe it's coming out, it's called the ES1. It's Cenesso's advancement on what Decent have started to do and taking their technology and the precision from the MVP Hydra and applying it all into one. I love the internals of Cenesso. I love their precision. I love their high quality build. I love all their features that they're focused on. The design is what really lets me down here. I feel like it's a little bit boxy and the display is a little bit small. You know, the Decent comes with a massive iPad-sized display. This one is a little bit dinky, and it's fixed, so it means that you can't upgrade it, unlike the Decent. So this hasn't been released yet. I reviewed it, and the full video is coming out shortly. When I was down in MICE, I talked to the manufacturers there. I talked to Cenesso. I talked to them about what's happening, what machines. This has been in development since before COVID and got delayed, and still hasn't even made it to market, still hasn't even had an RRP yet, but it's going to fall around the 13K AUD. So there's a few things that are still on there that's not going to be clear until it's launched later this year, hopefully. So maybe I might have to revisit this down the track, but just knowing Cenesso, knowing how great they are, how much they care about the quality of their products and the coffee extractions that you get from it, I have full faith that this machine will knock others out of the stadium. However, I wish they had gone with a more elegant design like the MVP Hydra, which just looks more aesthetic than the ES1 looks currently. This brings me to my next machine recommendation, which is the Slayer 1 Group. I really think they nailed the design look on here. They took that classic X, which is the Slayer icon from their bigger commercial machines, and they brought it down into the single group machine, and I think it looks as beautiful as the commercial machine. It has all the classic Slayer components and parts. These are hand-built machines. So someone builds it to order when you place your order. So that's where your $13,000 is going, because there's someone in Seattle hand building these perfectly designed for you at your home. Now, often the case with these, there's a lot of talk about, well, what are the functions and the features and everything like that? Well, they have their proven needle point flow profiling, which means that you get such precise, stepless integration of that profiling. Unlike the Cenesso, which is 4 stages, it jumps, say you set the bar to 3 bar and then you want to jump it up to 6. It jumps in 1 second straight up there. With the Slayer, you can evenly adjust it the entire way and it's seamless throughout the whole process. So you feel like you're in full control of your extraction. The touchscreen display, they call it a touchscreen display. It sits right at the back of the machine, and this is one of the areas that I just don't love. It's a little bit dinky. I think they could have put more thought into it. Obviously, calling it a touchscreen display makes it sound like it's an iPad. However, it's very far from that. You get some basic colors, just your green and black screen, basic display, just giving you the information, but without really any user interface. You get all the information, however, you don't get any of that nice user interface that, say, the Decent has on their display tablets. and the ES1 also when it comes out. Obviously, that's not what you buy the Slayer for. You buy it for the full experience, and I think with everything that Slayer has done to put all of their commercial parts down into a single group head, I love what they're doing, and this is one of my top choices for a machine that's above $10,000. My next one is probably not that popular, but is one of the best machines that I've ever worked on and ever had the privilege of tasting the espressos on. It's called the Kees van der Westen Speedster. Now, Kees van der Westen is pretty much the Gaudi of espresso machines. You know, he's thinking about what the future of coffee is, and he's always making coffee machines that look like they're out of this world. In fact, I think some of them are more pieces of art, but they actually do make coffee as well. Like the deconstructed espresso machine, if you've had the chance to see that, it looks amazing, and Kees van der Westen is just pushing the boundaries of what an espresso machine should look and work like. But the Speedster is kind of the same technology that's found in the Spirit, the big commercial machine, and the look and feel of it really does make you feel like you're driving one of those 1927 classic Jags or the James Bond type feels. It's got all brushed aluminium casing, you can have custom designs on it. It just looks really beautiful, but not only does it look beautiful, it has mega brains inside it. So one of the things that Kees van der Westen did to start on the Speedster way back in the day is he actually stole the paddle off of the GS2, the Marzocco GS3, which they don't manufacture anymore. And he used that to create the profiling on the Speedster. Now, they don't do that anymore. He never made another one after that, but he made 6 of these machines way back in 2001, and that was all it was going to make. It became so popular, they had to start producing them as a commercial line. It's packed full of features. It has a dual boiler, it has PID control. It's all made now with stainless steel parts, basically replacing all of the brass parts that they used to have in there, which just makes it a lot cleaner, simpler, less scale, lime scale build up, and just makes it easier for the maintenance part of it and lasts a lot longer. It also has an hydro drip pre-infusion mod that you can buy. You can retrofit it to any of their models, and that allows you to get complete control over the pre-infusion and allow it to be a seamless step up, like the Slayer as well. Just control all the way through from the 0 right through to 20 bars, whatever you need to go to. And without any steps in between or any jumps in between, you really can make the best extraction, extract all of those different flavors out, create a different profile completely to what maybe the normal regular machines would let you do. And I believe it's the only machine other than the Decent and the Slayer that allows you to get that level of control over the extraction part of your coffee making. And one of the other features that I love about the Speedster is the adjustable drip tray. That sounds like a silly thing. However, why isn't this a standard on every machine? Because sometimes you do just want to put it in a bigger cup. Sometimes you just want to be right up under it so that if you're making a long black, that the oils just fall straight on top of the water and they don't go down underneath it and they sit nicely on top. An adjustable drip tray should be a part of every machine. However, this is the only one that I know of that really allows that. Maybe a few of the others. The downside with this and the MVP Hydra is that they have an external rotary pump. So this means it's a little bit annoying because you don't just put it on your bench and be done with it. You have to still attach the rotary pump somewhere, either under the bench, on a wall, on the ground, and whatever it touches is obviously going to vibrate. So if you have it touching your bench, you need to get some insulation, otherwise it's going to vibrate your whole bench and make it echo, and it sounds horrible. So I think this is one small downside that I find with both the MVP Hydra and the Speedster. However, if you're really invested in your espresso machine, you're going to want to plumb it in, and wherever you set it up, you're going to find a space to mount the rotary pump as well. Now, I wouldn't be able to make these videos if I wasn't fully caffeinated. So as a gift for reaching 5K viewers from all of you subs out there in YouTube land, I'm going to give away a coffee prize pack to anywhere in the world. Maybe not Antarctica, but pretty much anywhere else. You're going to get 4 500-gram bags of coffee. If you want them in bean form, I hope you do want them in bean form. They'll be freshly roasted and then shipped to you via express shipping anywhere in the world. We have our Il Caramello, world famous blend here, caramels, apricots and malts, and we have Tall, Dark and Handsome, which is more the chocolatey end of the spectrum. Plus I'm going to put in some single origins. I've got a beautiful Chef, which is just one of my favorite, just very citrusy, very floral. And then as well, I'm going to support the Kenyan coffee world. So Kenya, this is a coffee from Baba Ngwenyi in Mount Kenya, who looks after 150 women and a fully 100% organization run 100% by women. And they grow and look after their coffee and disrupt the business of coffee growing in Kenya, disrupting that male dominance. So Vava is really one of my favorite women in coffee, and so we are always supporting her. So this coffee prize pack, all you have to do is like and then comment on this video, and one of you will be sent this overseas, wherever you are, at the earliest convenience. So go ahead, like and subscribe, comment on this video, a reasonable comment, like don't just write LOL or something. So that's it for my main machines. There's a couple of consolation prizes going out there just because I didn't want to make this video super long, but a couple of machines that I want to work on more and understand a bit more. San Remo U have a wonderful dual boiler that I briefly reviewed at the Mice, and you can watch that in the video here when I talked to the guys at San Remo. But I'm going to hopefully get one in to really test it out, to really see what it can do, because I feel like at 9,900, this machine should be able to compete with the likes of the Kees Westens, the Slayers, and maybe the LM's GS3 as well. So I would love to include that in here. However, I don't personally have that much experience with it, but that's going to change this year because San Remo are going to send one over for me to try and test out and really give it a full review. The other one that I would like to put in here is the LM mod bars. Now, this is not technically classed as a home machine because you wouldn't normally find this in any home. However, if I was building a new home and I was designing the kitchen, then I would certainly, if I had the budget, put these in because they sit as under-counter coffee machines, meaning the only thing that shows through your bench top is the group head, and that comes out in this nice fancy look, and the steam wand. This could be my coffee machine here, and you wouldn't even know it, and suddenly I've got your coffee ready for you, and you're wondering where's the rest of the machine, because it all sits underneath the counter, out of sight and out of mind. But they aren't cheap. They're about 20 grand per group head. So they can add up pretty quickly, and obviously, unless you've got the budget, that's not really feasible for most houses. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because it'll be one of the machines that I would eventually love to own, just for the sake of having someone walk in to my kitchen and handing them an espresso machine and watching them look around for the machine itself. So there you go, those are my recommendations for all home machines at 6K and above, for those of you who just want something a little bit more special. So thanks for watching this video. If you like this information, please give me a like, give me a subscribe. If you don't like something or I've missed something out, pop it in a comment below and talk to me. I'll try to get back to as many of the comments as I can. I'm Ryan, your coffee coach, and as always, enjoy your brew.